So, welcome to our deep dive.
Yeah.
Tonight we're going into some genuinely unsettling territory. These are true accounts.
Right.
We're looking at 3 different stories about ordinary people who discovered, much too late, that they were not alone.
And these sources really capture that primal fear of intrusion. It's that immediate switch from feeling safe in your own space to just abject terror.
Exactly. We have sources that detail 3 encounters. One is a college babysitter in this massive isolated house. Then there's a solo camper deep in the woods. And finally, a home invasion scare that all started because of a simple unlocked door. Our mission is to really follow these stories detail by chilling detail.
Let's do it. The horror in these is always in the little details, the things that feel so routine until they aren't.
We'll start with the story of a 20-year-old college student. She was, doing some weekend babysitting for a very wealthy family. Right. And the setting here is so important. It's a huge isolated property. 2 kids, we'll call him James, who's 7, and Jessica, who's 5. Now, the family had her stay in a separate pool house, a sort of rec room.
So she's physically detached from the main house?
Completely. There's a yard in between them. But, and this becomes the key detail, they were connected by an intercom system.
Which is fascinating. It gives her this physical distance, this bubble of safety, but the intercom creates an immediate auditory link right back to where the threat is.
Exactly. So the first night, Friday, everything's fine. She's in the pool house watching a movie, thinking it's an easy gig. Mm-hmm. Then the intercom buzzes, gives her a complete heart attack. It's Jessica. She's scared. Says she heard noises. So the babysitter runs across the yard, tucks her back in. Little annoyed, but, it's the job.
Standard stuff.
Right. A little while later, she goes into the main house kitchen. She's looking for a bottle of wine. And while she's standing there, she hears a faint crack from the wood floor in another room. She just freezes. Tries to tell herself it's the house settling,
The rationalization, it's what we all do first. But the fact that she froze, that's her instinct screaming that something is wrong, even before she has proof.
She goes back to the pool house, can't shake the feeling.
Yeah.
And then the intercom buzzes again. She hits the button. But this time, it's just silence. Absolute silence.
Oh.
She calls out their names. Jessica. James. Multiple times. And the only thing she hears back is someone breathing.
Wow.
That's when the real terror starts.
Yeah.
That intercom, which was meant to be a comfort, just confirmed someone else was in that house.
And the intruder is choosing to engage. They aren't just ignoring it. They're using the system to announce their presence. It turns her safe space into a listening post for the threat.
She manages to call a friend, Kelsey, trying to explain what's happening. And then she's on the phone. She looks out the window across the dark yard at the main house, and the hallway lights just snap on. Then a large figure steps right into the window frame. The figure sees her.
Oh, God.
And it stares right back. She just drops the phone.
That's the moment. The shift from an auditory threat, which is ambiguous, to a visual one. You've been seen. The dynamic changes completely.
She knows she has seconds. She grabs her phone, calls 911, but the intercom line is still open. So she starts screaming the address details into the phone, yelling every word back through the intercom so the intruder can hear.
A desperate bluff, advertising that help is on the way.
Yes. But then, while she's on with the 911 dispatcher, a sound comes over the intercom. It's Jessica's scream, a blood-curdling scream. And that it breaks her, but also gets her moving. She screams back into the intercom, telling Jessica to get her brother and get out of the house now. She runs back to the house herself, grabs both kids right at the door, and runs them back to the pool house to hide until police get there.
Incredible.
The police found him, a 6-foot man. They took him into custody. The babysitter, she said she could never go back. And the detail that stuck with her was his face. She could remember his disturbed, unnerving face. So that story, it sets this theme of isolation. Let's shift now to a different kind of isolation, the woods. Our second account is from a 28-year-old solo camper. He's out in some local woodland in November, and he's only got his beagle, Reggie, with him.
Okay, he sets up camp by a lake. Just a normal routine, fishing, hiking. But while he's on a hike across the lake, he looks back at his campsite, and he sees what looks like people near his tent. So he rushes back, thinking he's being robbed.
Right.
When he gets there, the tent zipper is open. Nothing seems to be missing but the violation. It's there. Someone was in his stuff. That feeling is enough. He spends the next hour breaking down the entire camp and moving it further up the lake.
Which is a strong survival instinct. He recognizes the threat. But it's interesting, after he moves, he makes a fire. He tries to reestablish that comfort, that routine.
And the dog reminds him he can't. Night falls, and Reggie starts barking into the woods. The camper realizes the fire is basically advertising his location, so he puts it out, climbs into the tent with Reggie to read. Hours go by. He's woken up by Reggie just growling and howling.
A dog knows.
And then, from the darkness outside, he hears someone whistling. You know, the kind of whistle you'd use to call a dog. It's followed by a clicking noise from someone's mouth, also to attract a dog. That is terrifyingly specific. The intruder knows he has a dog and is actively trying to lure away his first line of defense. This is targeted psychological pressure.
It gets worse. Heavy footsteps walk right up to the tent and stop. Directly outside the zipper. Reggie goes ballistic. The camper tries to yell something like, "You better get out of here, I have a gun!" But his voice just cracks. It comes out shaky and terrified.
The bluff fails.
It fails. And the footsteps, they don't run. They just slowly, deliberately walk away until he can't hear them anymore. But Reggie keeps growling for nearly an hour, like the person just stopped nearby, watching. And then comes the absolute final horror. From across the lake in the distance, he hears a woman scream. He said it sounded like she was screaming for her life.
And that changes everything. It's no longer just about his own safety. It validates the danger and suggests something fatal is happening nearby. He's now a witness to something terrible.
That was it for him. He grabbed Reggie, ran the mile back to his truck. He had no cell service, so he just slept there until sunrise, packed everything up in a rush and left. He did report it later, the suspicious person and the scream, to the non-emergency line. But he was done with solo camping.
Yeah.
Okay, so for our final story, we move back inside a home, and the threat here comes from the simplest possible failure. This narrator is staying alone for a rainy weekend in a split-level house, and they make a point to say the walls are paper thin.
Which eliminates all ambiguity. You hear everything.
Everything. So they're watching a scary movie, Dr. Sleep. They pause it to go get a snack. They hear a noise downstairs, and then notice the backyard motion light is on.
The first signs.
Then comes the confirmation. The sound of the back door closing, and then clear. Footsteps right below their bedroom.
The thin walls just amplify that terror. There's no denying it. The sensory information is too clear, too immediate.
They immediately text their family group chat. "Who's home?" Their mom replies, "We're not home." They text their brother Alex. No reply. The dread is just overwhelming. Then the footsteps start coming up the stairs. Heavy footsteps. And they're not stopping at other rooms. They're coming straight for the narrator's door. And the door opens. The narrator does the only thing they can think of, lays perfectly still, pretends to be asleep, squinting just enough to see. They see a head peering in. And in the dark, all they can make out are the person's eyes.
Wow.
And they knew instantly they were not their brother's eyes. This person just stood there, staring into the room for 30 seconds, maybe a full minute.
But that prolonged observation is so disturbing. The intruder isn't there to steal. They're there to watch, to establish dominance while the victim is paralyzed.
Finally, the door closes. The narrator texts Alex again in all caps, and he instantly texts back that he is not home. They call 911, whispering. And as soon as they start whispering, they hear the footsteps retreat, go back downstairs. The person must have heard them. The police arrive, clear the house. It's empty. And the cause of all this, one of the parents had just forgotten to lock the back door.
That's simple.
But it's not quite over. After the police leave, the motion light clicks on one more time. The narrator looks out and sees a man walking away into a dark corner of the yard. He probably came back to try the door again, found it locked. But that image of the eyes peering into the dark, that's what remains.
You can see the thread connecting all three of these, whether it's an intercom, a tent zipper, or a deadbolt. The real horror begins when that simple routine layer of security fails. It leaves you exposed.
Right, from the sound of breathing on an intercom to being stalked in the woods to seeing those eyes in your own bedroom. It's all about the fragility of the barriers we put up, that half-second choice to lock a door. That was everything.
It's the psychological impact. Once your feeling of safety is invalidated like that, in your own home or even in the wild, the environment itself becomes a source of anxiety. That trust is just shattered.
It really leaves you with a question, doesn't it? What would you have done if you heard that scream in the dark woods? Thank you for joining us for this terrifying deep dive. For more stories like these and other true case files, find us on our channel, Horror Docs. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more true stories from the darkness.